so I've put it off long enough, but that ends today. Welcome to Post-Tonal Music Theory, where we throw out all of the rules, forcing all who enter to abandon hope and long for the sweet release of death. Okay, it's really not that bad, I promise. Everyone just thinks that it is, and for good reason. Many of the analytical tools in post-tonal music theory don't seem very intuitive at first. Like, for example, 1 minus 3 equals 10. Additionally, many of the tools that we use are contrary to those that we use in tonal music. Like how spelling is kind of thrown out, and A sharp and B flat are exactly the same thing, and it kind of doesn't matter which one you use. But I promise, if you hang with me, I will do my best to explain why these tools really do actually make sense, why they're used, and why they are actually the best tools for the job. I would offer you cookies or ice cream for sticking with me, but this is the internet, and we have yet to figure out how to email food. In tonal music, we analyze harmonies, and those harmonies are centered around the relationship between tonic and dominant. But what if we don't have tonic and dominant? What if we don't even have triads? What would we call this chord? How would we analyze it? It's not exactly a major or a minor chord. We can't call this the one chord. So what can we do? We need a completely different set of tools to analyze and to describe what we're seeing and hearing. Calling a major chord is a useful tool because it allows us to quickly compare that chord to another chord. Post-tonal analysis has the exact same objective as tonal analysis, to describe what is happening. But before we can start looking at post-tonal music, we need to start with a few definitions. Octave equivalency states that all notes that are one or more octave apart are generally considered to be the exact same. This means for all intents and purposes, every A is an A. This is why we have a limited number of note names and not a different name for every pitch. This is important because it means that the cycle starts over. We can see this in tonal music. If a violin plays a melody and then the cello plays it an octave lower, we know that it's the same melody. Because octave equivalency is a thing, we can classify pitches by those octaves. We call this a pitch class. Again, this means that every octave of A is an A, and every octave of C is a C, and every octave of E flat is an E flat. Of course, we must distinguish between pitch, which is a specific note, such as C4 is middle C, and pitch class, which is every octave version of the same note. The violin's lowest pitch is a G, and that is a specific pitch. Think of it in terms of tonal music. The tonic of a key is a pitch class. If we're in C major, the tonic is every octave of C, not one specific C. Tonic is a pitch class. We know that singular pitches can have multiple names, and we call that inharmonic equivalence. And in tonal music, it's very important that we spell things correctly. G major is G, B, and D, and not G, C flat, and C double sharp. That's because correct spelling helps us see harmonic function. However, in post-tonal music, the pitches are only related to each other, not to some specific home pitch. This means that spelling isn't as important. A sharp and B flat are the exact same note, and it often doesn't matter which one is used. What this means practically in post-tonal music is that A sharp, B flat, and C double flat for that matter, are members of the same pitch class. They are all this one note on a piano. Of course, this isn't just a free-for-all. There are some conventions, some rules of thumb, such as sharps lead up and flats lead down. And you want to avoid confusing intervals. Don't write a diminished third when you could just write a major second. But the point is, in post-tonal music, you'll see spellings that make very little sense from a tonal perspective. I know that this is a lot to take in, and believe me, it will continue to be a lot to take in. But it's helpful to know why these tools are being used. And in short, they're being used because they're the best way that we've figured out so far how to describe what is happening in post-tonal music. We literally cannot use the tools that we use in tonal music. It wouldn't mean anything. Please leave any and all questions you have in the comments, and while you're there, tell me what is your favorite pitch class. Thanks for watching this episode of 2 Minute Music Theory. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. Also, be sure to check out my other channel, Jesse Strickland Music, which is home to all of my compositions. And if you're the kind of person who uses social media, be sure to connect with me over there.